Thanks, everybody. Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Ricky Camilleri, and our next guests are the stars of the upcoming Terrence Malick film, A Hidden Life. It's the beautiful, heartbreaking, inspiring story of Franz Jägerstätter, an Austrian farmer who becomes a conscientious objector during World War II. August Diehl stars as Franz, and Valerie Pachner plays his wife, left on the farm, fending for herself against the village's prejudices and the duties of the land. It's a devastatingly beautiful film that only the singular Malick could make. Let's take a look.
Remember the day when we first met? I remember that motorcycle, my best dress. You looked at me, and I knew how simple life was then.
What's happened to our country? We're killing innocent people, raiding other countries, preying on the weak. If our leaders, if they're evil, what does one do?
You have a duty to the fatherland. The church tells you so.
You cannot say no to your race and your home. You are a traitor.
I can't swear loyalty to Hitler. I can't.
Do you think your defiance will change the course of things?
If God gives us free will, we're responsible for what we do, what we fail to do. I can't do what I believe is wrong. We have to stand up to evil.
Whatever you do, I'm with you, always.
Everybody, please put your hands together for August Diehl and Valerie Pachner.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for making this movie. Incredibly beautiful film. A great Malick movie. Purity, really. It's hard to talk about. As I said in the green room, I'm going to do my best to get through it, maybe without crying, because I cried a lot during this movie. Especially that wonderful shot that comes back of the motorcycle going down the road. It was almost too much to bear, I think, when I saw this. So talk to me about how this started. What is it like when you get a call from Terrence Malick or Terrence Malick's people or whatever it is, that the hoops that you jump through to work with him? How did this start for the two of you?
For me, it started 4 years ago. In July 2015, I got a call from the casting director in Berlin, Anja Dierberg, if I wanted to come in for Terrence Malick's next movie. And I wanted, of course, but I didn't have anything to prepare, which was good, I think, because I think I would have freaked out just, thinking of preparing for a Terrence Malick movie. And
how do you even prepare for that?
I guess you can't. I mean, I was glad I didn't have to. So I just went there, and there they told me what it's about, more or less. So they gave me one of the original letters in English, and I sort of improvised with the letter. But honestly, after it, I didn't think, I was like, okay, no, I'm not a wife and a mother of three, and also with English, I felt like, okay, no, that's not gonna happen. But 3 weeks later, I got the call that I'm cast, and that was it. It was only that one time that I.
And this was in 2015?
Yes.
So when did you start shooting?
2016.
So this was shot in 2016. It's been getting edited for the last
3 years.
3 years.
2.5.
2.5 years. Wow. That is wild. I had no idea that it was that long of a process. Has he not made anything or shot anything since then? Was all that other stuff before that? Song to Song and Night of...
I think he was still sort of editing Song to Song after we shot. Like, he was still finished the edit on that one. So that might also be a reason. But yeah, no, it really took a long time to the whole post-production process, yeah.
And August, what about you?
It was, I came later to the project. I heard rumors in Berlin that there is a Terrence Malick casting going on. I went for years, I think. I was a bit disappointed that nobody called me. I remember. But then finally, actually, it was like Anja Dierberg, the casting director, called me to come and to meet Valerie and Grant Hill, the producer. And we did an audition together, a scene.
Was it a scene that was written, or was it something that was...
It was a scene that was written, yeah, and it's, I think, still in the movie.
It is in the movie, yeah.
What, how, this, it's written and directed by him, but this feels, I think, compared to the last few movies of his, much more written, simply maybe because there are story pillars that it has to hit, it being based on a true story, taking place during World War II. What does the script look like when you get to set every day for a Terrence Malick movie?
The script?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the script sort of stayed the same, but what we did was something else every day. So we had the script, and, you know, since it's based on true events, it's also like it has this very clear narrative, and it was clear for all of us, you can't go that far. But every day when you come to set, you might have like, you know, you have like the call sheet with the scene, but we would always improvise around those scenes. So you would not end up doing only that scene, but maybe, you know, improvise around that. Or also after, I think like after a few weeks, there were more and more, on the call sheet, there were more and more scenes that were just labeled XX or something, you know, they didn't
What does
have...
that mean?
Like...
He's gonna make, like he'll make
just
it
some
up
additional scenes, like not one that is actually in the script. So it's like this mix of, on the one hand, you have the script and you have the narrative, but then you're allowed to improvise around that and would just have this space to come up with your own ideas and your own, you know, contribute to it on yourself, and not only strictly following the dialogue, but really be encouraged to come up with ideas on your own, which is great for an actor, you know, to be able to do that.
What is that like for you as your character is sort of figuring out what is happening in Austrian and German society at this time, and he's sort of recognizing how far off the rails things are going, not just politically, but within his own village and his friends and the people that he's been around for years?
I think it was a very slow process, this decision to not participate the war and to not swear the oath to Hitler. I think it was like step by step coming. First of all, the war came, and he saw what is happening also in the village. People were, like the Nazis came in, and other farmers went to war. And he, I think, first of all, it was a feeling to say, no, I can't kill. And then the decision got bigger and bigger, and he felt more and more how complicated this will be also for his family and for his kids and for the whole village.
Do you get to explore that arc, that progression chronologically while you're shooting in the mountains with him?
That was a big advantage when I'm looking back. I never did a movie that was so much chronologically shot. We really ended the movie in Berlin. Wow. And we started the movie like the movie is actually starting in South Tyrol. And it helped a lot, because like this, I could really go the whole journey. And I remember being in prison, I was really missing the mountains. And I knew that we would not come back there and not gonna shoot there again. So it helps a lot when you do, especially in this story, I think it helped me a lot to make it chronologically.
There's some things that I just don't know how Malick does it. There just almost isn't a false bone in his body in terms of what he's going to portray. The scenes of you sort of going crazy, not necessarily crazy, but losing it a little bit while locked away, we have seen a version of that scene in plenty of prison movies before, yet somehow he finds a way to get a very new perspective and new kind of performance from you and shots that I've never seen in that room before. It's almost like, as much as he's a recluse, he must be an avid watcher of all different kinds of movies to know how things have been portrayed and how they haven't been portrayed before.
We never really spoke about, you're actually not really speaking about this with Terrence. You speak about other things, and but I know that his way of shooting a movie is very personal and he's like looking for something that is unexplainable, and he's very much searching in the silence of things, and we wouldn't talk really. He would never say like, August, this time you do this and that, and he's like looking with you together for the story of the movie. So we were encouraged also to do this movie with him together. And
So how does that work? What is the conversation then? For instance, in the cell, what is that conversation with him like? If he's not guiding you or directing you towards something specific, is he kind of listening to you and then agreeing when something comes up that he thinks will work?
yeah, he would also give you like texts and stuff that the day before he would send you. Let's say he would say, maybe you have this psalm in your head when you're sitting there, or this is an interesting text of Heidegger, please read it, and don't tell me what you think about it, have it in you. Or it's like, yeah, it's a very it's very hard to speak. As you said at the beginning, it's very hard to speak about this because it's so unspeakable. It's like, and that's what he's looking actually for. And not a language, but a feeling, and therefore even now, I think even in German, I would stumble. I would like not really know how to talk about this. But it has to do with a lot of trust, and therefore he was also so much interested in us personally, where we were growing up, where we're coming from. We got to know each other very well through this whole process, yeah.
Not that you ever would, but it sort of forces the actor to not be able to take anything for granted in a way in terms of when you show up to set. It's not like you have your scene, you can memorize your lines, you can be like, this is what I'm going to try to do with these lines today. You have to memorize Heidegger and think about what that actually means to you. I mean, that's an incredible experience, you know? He's going to sit you down in front of the camera and be like, okay, now think about that Heidegger thing.
But I remember also that we did scenes together with a dialogue and a normal scene. And then he would say, now we do the scene again, but you just think the dialogue, you don't say it anymore. So, and that makes also something, you know. It's very, it was, at the beginning, I have to admit, I had to get used to this, but you can explore your own profession in a very different way when you work with Terrence Malick. It's like also the fact that you discover that it's very much allowed to be boring for days and not always delivering, but.
And you're so much encouraged to fail too.
Yeah.
You don't have to deliver. There's not that one day where we have that difficult scene that you have to deliver, because you will go back to that scene over and over again in different, you know, once you will do the scene in the bar and then the next day on the field. And then, so there's almost a sense of like rehearsing in a way.
So you're doing the same scene I mean, that makes sense because you're
again.
watching the movie and like the same scene kind of appears in different places.
And that sort of, you know, it takes away the pressure of performance, in the sense of like you have to be brilliant today and you have to nail that. And I think that is so wonderful because it gives you that freedom of really allowing to be everything that you are in the moment and not being narrow, but really be open to whatever might happen in that moment. And I think that is what Terry is really looking for. He looks for, you know, this moment where life happens and where you know, people are vulnerable and where you can really like grasp a certain sense of truth. And I think that's how he frames, you know, that's how the frame he gives us, in which we then can move. And which makes it so refreshing in a way, because you're not stuck to the script and stuck to the lines. You can really think about it yourself and really come up with your own ideas. Or
do you feel lost in a way at least at the beginning of doing this, and then you sort of grow accustomed to that being lost and understand that that's where the better work is going to come from?
Being lost is a part of it. Actually, that's also after a while you're really looking for being lost. It's an advantage to be lost. It's because sureness is also, you know, that's life is not always sure, you know, like you're always a little bit trembling in moments and not knowing. I remember also, you know, the take durance is very long when you shoot with Terry. It's sometimes like really 30 minutes long or something. And as an actor, you know, you can, for 10 minutes probably, you can be interesting, but then you fall into a black hole and you don't know what to do anymore. and you would just sit on a bench and look down the valley and probably be, this is exactly the thing that he was looking for. So lost, that's what I mean, is sometimes also very good, you know.
When you discover that maybe the thing he's looking for is you being lost 10 minutes in, did you ever find yourself 1 minute in trying to show him that lost thing and cheat a little bit so you didn't have to go for 10
That
more
happens,
minutes?
but then he just keeps filming you, and they're like, okay, no, okay.
He knows.
He knows.
He knows that
yeah.
you're trying to cheat a little bit?
Yeah, he does. He knows. Yeah.
What is it like when other actors come on for, because the two of you are shooting with him, I mean, the months and months that it takes to shoot the movie, but there are other actors who show up for, it looks like maybe a day, 2 days. What is it like for their day or 2 days? Are they given, do you notice that they're given more specific roles or takes or things to do that day, or are they sort of thrown into the same tornado?
I think they're thrown into it, and there was just a very special atmosphere on set in general. It was very concentrated but playful and very open, so I think nobody felt threatened, like, although you're like sort of nervous of meeting Terrence Malick, but he just infuses this certain kind of warmth and clarity that everyone sort of gave himself or herself into it, and then was sort of, you know, even though in the beginning you're sort of stumbling in that, you know, you don't really know how to do that, but he's so encouraging everyone to, you know, he would always say, oh, that's wonderful. Like, Terry would always rather give compliments than criticize. And that was something that I realized watching that. I realized that is just so much more helpful, because everyone gets like a strength out of this and really starts to, you know, contribute to the movie in the best way. And I think that's what happened to all the other actors too. They felt very safe, very fast, because Terry is always so encouraging everyone. That
You also feel within the movie that because of as much as is made of what he doesn't use, there's also a vast amount of footage and takes that I feel like he does use. So everything kind of is wonderful to him. It's not like you're shooting with a director who's like, that take sucked, let's get a good one in here.
Yeah.
Like, it all in some way is going to weave itself into the tapestry of the movie, and it is all wonderful. I mean, did you ever find that he would have a moment where he'd be like, that wasn't that good, let's try it this way?
No, he would not say this. No, it's not. Because he also not thinks in these terms, like good and bad or wrong and right. It's he would say in my case, he was very much keen on the fact that we should be very, very aware that we don't want to have a pious farmer who knows exactly that he is with God and everybody else is wrong. Yeah. This would be wrong. So he was really saying, let's struggle. There is a doubt. Like, be shy, silent, not sure, lost. Like, we were looking for this together, really.
And the same is said for your character, who in some ways wants to support him, but is in other ways struggling against everybody in the village and has her own doubts about what's happening.
Yeah, exactly. For me, it was very important to also show that side of her, that she's not only the devoted wife, you know, that is supporting her husband, but that she has her own struggles too. But then in the end, which I found is so astonishing about her, is that she never holds a grudge in a way, you know, not against him, not against her village, which I felt like if I would be in that situation, I would probably be very angry at my neighbors or whatever, how the way they treat me. But there was something about also the real character, the real Franziska,